So basically, yeah, Jasmine is a client of mine, and before I start, I just want to say you probably always hear me, Gerard, talk about using the feather blade on curly hair, not knowing why you don't want to sort of compromise curly hair with a blade and things like that. That could be in different techniques. But if you zoom in on Jasmine's hair, she actually has this beautiful soft texture. So using my professionalism, I am going to use the feather blade on the perimeter all the way around. But I'm going to use a technique where I just pinch and cut, and I take some sections, and I would never, ever start to use like a skimming technique. I would never do anything that would affect the curl itself. So it's almost like when you use a open blade, like without the cover, you have to sort of make this blade as sharp. So these normally aren't as sharp as an open blade. So by pinching the hair a little bit more, and like no real skimming, so you're not going to be abrasive on the hair texture itself. So all you really want to do is to just literally notch out some pieces like that. So you just notch them out. So if I do this against her skin, you'll see that it's still nicely cut. So that's the only time that I will use a blade on curly hair. So I just wanted to get that one out before we started, because this is something that, you see people using feather blades on curly hair, and to be honest, it's a big risk. So by doing something that's really simple like this, and just literally going 1, 2, 3, and it's gone, you still have that really nice choppy, chewy effect. Could you do that with a scissor? Of course you could. Could you do a point cutting technique? Of course you could. Now I'm just bringing this section that I've cut already here, and I'm slightly bringing that forward, bringing it forward here, holding it in my hand, using the cheekbone here, and just literally just doing that. So you're creating this little oval shape around the face. Now this is a big change for Jasmine. I mean, you think about it, her hair is a little sort of weaker in this area here. So what we're doing is we're giving her strength and using the curl, really to its advantage, and giving her hair nearly the opposite of what she has. And what by saying that is, all here is more triangular. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer the hair, and we're going to give the hair the more sort of fuller feel with a squarer end instead of it being triangular this way. So it's almost the opposites.
Kind of like a lean shag kind of look?
Yeah.
Lean,
yes.
Instead of really rounded or triangular.
Exactly. So, it's to give it something that, she can do herself. I know sometimes you blow dyed your hair, did you? Sometimes. So, her hair blow dries straight too, so she can sort of have that option that if she wanted to really do something with that new haircut, she could actually sort of straighten it out. But it will look, really, we're cutting it for the curl, to really expose the curl in the best way possible, and to sort of give her something new and something fresh.
So, Shay, you've mentioned different ways to use the blade.
Yep.
And having worked with you before, especially on our big project of Creative Immersion,
yes,
which is a 4-part video series available at HB Live, where you go very in-depth into the techniques.
Yes.
There's 4 different cuts that are kind of the classic foundations of Sebastian cutting methodology.
Yeah.
And you really go into the difference between the pinch and cut, skimming. I think all in all, there's 9 different ways.
There's 9 techniques, that's right.
4 haircuts.
Yes.
So again, people obviously are always a little bit trepidatious, I think that's a word, of using the blade on curly hair.
Yes.
So what you're saying here is by pinching it and cutting kind of with the side of the blade.
Exactly.
Rather than what you call skimming, where the blade's like flat on the hair.
Yeah, I would never ever attempt that. So it's really, I know, Gerard, you use an open blade, so you're trying to get the most strength out of the blade. So you can either use the toe of the blade like this. The pressure is in the left hand, and it's literally holding the blade and almost in one hit like that. So if you can see against the black, the hair is actually still really cut. It's not shredded in any way, because we're not doing any of this. We're not elongating the stroke. So really we're taking controllable sections, so that if I did want to go around and pinch and just go cut, I can do that. The only reason I'm going is that I still want to keep it a little soft, almost like that I was point cutting with the scissor. So I can just keep control in my hand like that, and either use the heel like so, or the toe, and then by bringing it around a little, I just tap it. It's almost like just tapping it. So it's almost like you did this with the scissor. So I'm not saying, I'm giving you options. I'm giving you options. Instead of point cutting, maybe this is something else that you would like to do to create a different perimeter line.
You know, that old saying, if you keep doing everything the same way and expect a different end result, that's like, I think that's the definition of insanity. Have you ever heard that?
Yep.
So if you're always doing this with point cutting, but you expect to feel a little different,
Yep.
you know, so by trying a different tool, sometimes that can be just enough to get you out of a creative rut.
Exactly. And, you know, we never stop learning. We never stop sort of experimenting. That's why we're hairdressers. So I think it's really cool to be able to sort of take the feather blade, but again, use your expertise as a hairdresser to choose the right hair. So again, if a girl came and her hair was a stronger curl or maybe was a little bit sort of coarser, well, then I just use the scissor. It's just you using your professionalism to be able to pick and choose the right, you know, client to wear this on. So as you can see, it's a pretty big fringe. You know, it's something that her hair was a little weak in this area through here. So I took a little bit more down so that we can really create something that's super soft, and that with the curl, it's going to spring up a little. So you're going to have this really cool sort of veiled fringe. Now we're sort of left with these side pieces through here. So I'm going to continue with the perimeter. So by cutting a perimeter line in and your sides, it gives you something then to cut from your layers. So again, you're following wherever you start. So if you're going to layer, well then that's on its own. But like by giving yourself something to pull up to, a guide from the base, it's perfect. So let me just start on the sides.
So Shay, you've got lots of the Sebastian family and friends all over the world watching.
It's great.
I saw Orlan is watching.
Hi, Orlan.
One of the directors there at Sebastian. William Anselmo, I think he's down in Brazil.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Ulrika Lindstrom is watching. Good evening from Annette Warners. Guys, let us know where you're watching from.
Got Omar too.
Say it again.
Omar's here.
Oh, okay. Omar is joining us. So we've got a great group coming in from all over the world. Guys, if you have any questions for Shay, obviously I would definitely read those to him. Any technical questions, or you want to show him some love, tell us where you're watching from. All right, Shay, so going into
it's something now, what we've done is we've continued this little oval shape. So what I want to do here is just by bringing the hair around and following, it's not over directing, but it's just bringing that hair forward. And now I need to have a little bit more control. So now I'm really making sure that I've got control in my hand. And remember, this is where we're coming from here. So now I just want to go through, and I don't want to connect this completely. I just want to, again, I'm thinking of the scissor, and now this is the blade. So I'm thinking, if I have the blade, I can just tap, and I can just work down. So it's little chops.
So again, you're not even sliding the blade
No.
on the hair. You're actually making micro cuts.
Micro cuts, because if I slide the blade, it's going to affect the hair. So this is, again, a reason why I'm doing this, is like, again, by bringing the hair around. Let's move the little mask.
All right, Shay, so I noticed you were spraying something into
Yep.
the hair. I think this is something that we've been teasing our audience with here for probably about 6 months, but it's officially released.
Yeah.
This is the new Sebastian No Breaker. And this is something that strengthens the hair, as the name says, and helps to prevent breakage. Seems perfect for Jasmine's kind of fragile hair.
Yeah.
And now I notice you use it as you cut. What's the benefit of using the No Breaker as you cut?
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the crazy thing about No Breaker is that actually you don't condition the hair at the back bar. So what you do is you shampoo the hair and then towel dry the hair and then bring the client to your chair. And you actually apply the No Breaker. So it's this sort of wearable treatment. And it's a little bit weird to actually sort of use it at the start, because you're thinking, God, you know, somebody's hair that's a little bit compromised, and I'm actually not going to condition it. I'm going to condition it at the chair. I'm going to apply it into the hair, and I'm now going to sort of cut the hair or blow dry the hair, whatever it is. So that to me is amazing, that it's so quick and so easy, but the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And I found that when I'm actually cutting hair, It lays, obviously it helps on the inside, but it also lays on the top because it's a hybrid. So it has a styling element to it as well.
I love that whole concept, wearable treatment. That's like a Sebastian concept, right? I guess was that Potion 9 was
absolutely
the original wearable treatment?
That's right. And again, Potion 9 had that ethos that the more you used it, the better the condition of the hair. Yeah. And this has the same properties in it. And it can be mixed in color, it can be mixed with cellophanes or Sebastian cellophanes. So basically, yeah, I use it to sort of dampen the hair down and lay it down onto the hair. So it actually helps me with the blade. It's really super. It dampens the hair down, but it sort of helps me glide that blade along. Even though I'm not gliding the blade here, you can see that I can, spray. It's a very, very sort of mist-like. You can see it sort of mists onto the hair, so you don't overlay it too much. But it also helps then, just for when I'm using the feather blade, that it creates this really sort of nice, sort of smooth run onto the hair.
So we've got a question coming in from Caroline Dolezal. Maybe you can explain exactly everything you're doing. So you were like using this tapping motion rather than dragging the blade down. Yeah. So she's wondering if you can explain why. And then also let's take a look at the section. It's like the whole temple is one panel.
Yes.
And then you're just kind of breaking it down?
Yeah, so I've basically taken from the rounding of the head here and isolated up here because we're going to layer all this section here. But by putting in the fringe, it's a big sort of oval type fringe. Now I want to sort of blend the sides in, but I don't want to use the blade, if I can turn the blade around, I don't want to use the blade and slide it down like that because it's going to really sort of affect the actual texture of the hair.
It's like too much skimming.
It's too much skimming.
Make the hair too thin.
Exactly. So let me just sort of spray on a little here of the no breaker. And I'm just going to show you by taking a controlled section. But you still have to visually look at it. So by bringing it forward now, not over-directing, because I've brought in the fringe forward a little to make this oval, continue that section that's in your hand. So just comfortably just bringing the hair until you actually see where you've cut before. Now I just control it in my fingers because you have to sort of use that section as you have right there. And you don't want to go back to the shoulder. You want to continue to come down. So just by using the toe, you can just catch certain, and now just look at that. If that's the girl, I can't remember the girl's name. So you've got these little sprigs of hair that you're cutting. So it's almost like you're just tapping, tap, tap, and you're moving your way down. My left hand is now running down, as you can see. And I'm just tapping to wherever I want to cut to. So
we do have, as you would expect, Nancy Anderson is wondering, aren't we supposed to not use a razor on curly hair?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that again?
Yeah.
It's kind of how you use it.
Yes,
really.
Exactly. So I'm putting myself out there. I knew that's what we were going to get. But you know what, Nancy? I'm picking the right hair to do it on, so that's number one. You wouldn't do it on curly hair that was very compromised or very thick.
Jasmine's texture is actually smooth.
It's smooth. Look at the sheen and look how soft it is. So that's number one, Nancy. You can actually see that her hair really works well on my hand. If it was too curly or if it was too strong, there's no way that I would use it. And then the motion that I'm using is a tap. So it's almost like they're little sections that are just being cut away. So it still keeps strength and it still keeps sort of the hair not being compromised in any way.
It's almost like cutting with one scissor blade.
Exactly,
it's like
exactly.
A cut rather than a scrape.
Yeah.
When we think of razors just scraping, which they can do really beautifully on certain type of textures of hair, they're called skimming, or sometimes called flat cutting, use the flat blade. But this is one of those times where you're not doing that.
Here's one for you, Nancy. Look, you could go in like this.
Kind of the same idea.
And you would just do that. So the scissor is doing that type of effect, and we're just doing the same type of effect when we go tap, 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 tap.
Now, Shay, probably the hardest thing about this, at least I know for me, would be is keeping the balance from side to side.
And that's where, we talk about, visuals and stepping back and really looking and seeing where we're going and seeing, and using your hands here now and really sort of working, and you can still do this. You can still sort of bring things around. You can start to feel them. So it's, again, it's a very, very visual thing. But if you wanted to check the hair through and you want to make sure that the hair has no taily little bits through it, you know, you can, little mask action.
It's looking great already and balanced, which is,
Yeah.
again, it's a tribute to your
Let's
mastery that you just...
So you can actually see the chops, look. Which I think is pretty cool. So let me just bring this around. I'm sure everybody can relate to me right now with the masks.
Yes. Yeah, it looks beautiful already.
Yeah.
Balanced, the way the
So
wave
then we
is
can
setting
just
in.
shake it out. So we have this really cool little sort of fringe with then that nice framing on the face. Now, we have to continue through the back. So again, for anybody who doesn't feel like that, obviously you can use a scissor and you can point cut through there. That's no problem. But again, by just, you know, I'm just going to dampen down a little bit of Potion 9 Light. I don't want to overcook it with the no breaker. You can do the exact same thing. So Jasmine, if you pop the head down just a little, so we can get a little faster now as we go. Sections become a little bigger. Keep everything in control. And now you can see this section is just that little bit bigger. Let's see where we are here. Taking a little bit off today. So clean hand and just nap, and it's gone. Make sure you can show people that the blade can also cut in a nice way.
And since I've watched all of your Sebastian Creative Immersion videos on hblive.me, I know that that's called pinch and cut.
Yes, so you're pinching with the left hand, and there's quite a lot of tension. Can you feel that tension, Jasmine? Yeah, you can really feel it, so that the blade actually just works like a blade, and it just goes in and it cuts the hair, okay? So without that left hand tension being strong, I can understand why people would say to me, oh, just why are you using that on curly hair? But, you know, as I said, this hair is beautifully soft. It's got a beautiful curl. And it's something that it allows me to do this. So I'm taking everything in the corner back, straight back to me. So I'm making everything nice and square. See the way everything is coming down to meet that previous piece? And I just go through there and I just take it off.
All right, guys, if you are really interested in mastering this blade the way that Shay has, and he's undisputedly one of the masters of the feather blade, he calls it blading. We spent 3 days in a studio filming what's called Sebastian Creative Immersion, where Shay took all of the iconic techniques that have been developed over the past 40 years using the feather blade, and he put them into 4 looks that are the staples of salon wear. A long layered kind of shag, a bob that's stemmed, a pixie, and a graduated bob, the real foundations that we all need in the salon. All 4 of these are available at a discounted price at hblive.me. It's only $79 for 4. Every video is well over an hour, documented with multiple camera angles, perfect sound. I know you guys love what we're doing here, and we'll always continue to do the free education like this, but it's just a taste of what a brilliant educator like Shay can do.
Thank you.
Get him in the studio, multi-cameras, you get an incredible lesson. Head to hblive.me and check out Sebastian Creative Immersion. Now there's 2 parts to this. First you'll watch the videos, learn the techniques, practice on your own. Then Sebastian has created an opportunity for you to tape actual virtual live lessons with educators to perfect your technique. It's step number 2. Once you take the course, at hblive.me, we send you all the information. You can also find it on Sebastian Pro on Instagram about that second phase of getting hands-on tutelage from incredible Sebastian educators that have trained under Shay. So guys, don't sleep on this opportunity. It's something that's going to make a huge difference for your career.
Yeah, it's great. It's taking, you know, those iconic looks that we all know of. When you close your eyes and you think of what a shag is, you can actually visualize it. But then it's sort of turning it on his head and sort of looking at it and how you can cut it in a different way, and that's using the blade. So I'm just taking down my last section as you were talking through there, Gerard. So you can see when, and hopefully what will be nice here is that you'll be able to see the line that sort of the perimeter line that we've created has strength. You know, there's nothing that's too weak. Now with this final section that's through the top, I can just like visually just take some pieces. I can see the perimeter line right underneath. So it's great. You can just actually, you have your guide, you have your reference, and now you just tap and you just take those little bits away and use the blade to find your sections again. You can use the heel if you want to go in a slightly different direction. You can go check it afterwards with your scissor if you want. Like even those little bits there, just take those little guys and nip. And everything is quite square. As you can see, everything is coming back in to meet those other sections. This is not coming around. What we want to do is create something that's like very, very square. So it's so easy once you have your guide underneath, so you can just sort of pop along, and things move along really quick when you use the blade as well. It's something that's sort of really cool in the salon. But let me just like remind anybody that's jumping on here, is that like we're working on the most beautiful soft curls. We wouldn't be using the blade if we were working on a hair, that texture that was that little bit drier or was that little bit more compromised. We can do this with Jasmine's hair because she's got such beautiful hair. This is me just pinch and cutting just around. Now let me just, there you go. So you have a very strong perimeter line that's put in there. Let's just check. This is putting myself to the test. I don't know whether this is going to work out or not, but let's see. Not too bad.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Pretty good.
So let me just check again. So there you go. Against the black cape, it's really cool, but that's just to show that that's with a blade. That could be point cut very softly the exact same way.
You know what I love here, and when people were masters with the razor, there is so much precision here. It's just not geometric.
Yes.
You know, it's not about like a blunt line, but there's still so much precision. It's not like you're just chopping off hair randomly.
No, and we're following guides all the way. And you know, that's part of like sort of Sebastian's education that you will find in creative immersion, is that we have a certain terminology that we use, and we have an education that really sort of focuses on the head shape, the face shape, and the reference points on the face on where you can sort of follow. Like people have guidelines and guides. We have guides also. I think just people think that randomly we take out sections and we go a little crazy, but that's not the case. So Randy can see here on this side, what we've done is we've just combed everything down and back to, as we call it, the corner back. So we're not over directing everything back into the center. You can see it's just a nice controlled comb down, and you can see down and into that square piece. So what we want to do is leave a little bit more length in the front, so that's what has to come off there, okay? And the same on this side. So I'm just going to get all the hair prepared. You know, what's really nice is to be in control of the hair, so you can always sort of dampen the hair down again. Use Potion 9 Light, use water. Sometimes I even mix water with Potion 9 Light, so it's only sort of a very little amount coming on. But again, it's so nice to just be in control of the hair. So let's start on this side, seeing as Randy's here. So again, there's just that little corner, and it's right there. So maybe just take that and half it, just to be in control. So now it's just a case of taking my blade, tap, it's gone.
You know what I
Bring
also
it down,
love here is something that
tap.
sometimes we take for granted because we just go through brainlessly and just automatically trim length off.
Yeah.
Here you're actually cutting each piece by piece. And
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways it's more conducive to curl because as you take those pieces,
Yeah.
you're working with the curl pattern instead of cutting across it.
Absolutely, and you're also sort of with this type of sectioning, there's less hair, as we know, in these areas here. So by the time you sort of bring this forward and you let it swing around, what you've got is that little bit more hair in the front. So you can actually sort of leave just that little bit more hair sort of just on that corner. The worst thing with curly hair is that if you take it off and then it springs up, and then you have a problem. So by leaving it and bringing it back to the corner back, it just helps you sort of keep that little bit of length through this area here, which I love, you know. It's a little bit sexier, to be honest. It gives the hair a little bit more of an interesting sort of look, you know. But let's just gently just spin around, and you can actually see before we start to go into the layers, you can see that we've got this nice little shape that's coming in, and then it just lays over the shoulder. See the way it just lays over the shoulder there? So it's pretty cool, you know. So before I start, I always just go back over the hair. I like to be able to see it dry. I like to be able to see things sort of come together. So again, I'm just spraying in a little bit of Potion 9 Light.
So you've been using two kind of wearable treatments throughout this. The new No Breaker, which is a fantastic new product that we've been teasing for about 6 months here. And this is something that really helps to strengthen that hair, especially, I think this would be perfect for Jasmine's hair.
Oh, yeah.
It's fragile.
Yeah.
And then you're also using the Potion 9 Light.
Yeah.
Like, what's going through your mind as you use one or the other? I felt like you were using this a lot in the beginning, and then you switched to this. Is there a reason?
Yeah, I think, you know, because it's a treatment, I don't want the treatment to overpower the hair. So I know Potion Light, I use Potion 9 Light for so many years, is that, you know, what it's going to do is it's going to dampen the hair down. It's going to sort of keep it nice and light, so I'm not going to sort of maybe overpower the curl with the No Breaker.
So you were saying you might not want to keep spraying this as a cutting lotion. Just get the hair, get it on the hair, and then you're using the Potion 9 Light as your cutting lotion.
The thing about No Breaker is it's not a cutting lotion. As it is, it's a treatment, so you put it on there, and you can then, as I said, it's a hybrid. So all the whites here are all hybrids. These are all hybrids. So you can layer on top of everything. Okay, so where do I find the guide on the top? Do I go completely separate to the fringe, or do I just go for it? You just go for it. It's as simple as that. So a lot of people you'll always see sort of like when they're doing shags or whatever like that, they'll put the fringe in, and then you'll have the section on the rounding of the parietal there where I had taken that out. Usually they'll go separate, but you know what? I'm not doing that. So it's very simple to take the corner of the triangle, bring it up. Let's just keep that in control on the fringe, and then just go from here. So what are we going to do? Are we going to go like from shorter to longer? No. So just like the ruler, I'm just going to go straight out off the head.
So you're using that longest part of the fringe.
So I'll take a bit more in actually so you can see. So by taking that little piece in there and come up, and there's the longest part of that fringe right there. I'm sure you can see it. It's right there. And I'm just going to go straight out. So maybe I need to go down a little. So I'm in control. Again,
so that'll make this all connected in a way. And
exactly.
But you don't have to. If someone wanted to cut a different length here, they could.
So you can actually go in there and you could actually do a completely different length. And you can keep your fringe completely separate. But what with Jasmine's hair is that actually the curl, it's not super strong. It needs to be a little lighter on the top. So I'm just going to go in there, and again, you could just, you know, use your point putting technique. Just go in there and gently go in and just make it sort of...
Now, Shay, I don't know if you call it this, but the way that you're holding it with your fingers, I've been told that people call it a triple clamp.
Oh, yeah.
Do you call it that?
Well, that's what people tell me I have, is a triple clamp.
Yeah.
So, but to be honest, it's something that I just do it, you know, it's just like something.
Because I notice you lock it in and then you're able to move it.
Yeah, and then I can sort of move it around, or I can drop it down, because
everything below your fingers moves, but nothing above your fingers moves.
Exactly.
So this gives you the ability to
just be able to do that then.
Yeah.
So then I can just get in and feel more control. You know, one of my teachers always gave out to me because I was always up here.
Yeah, bad for your body.
And he said it's bad for your body. So I was inclined to have to try and come down. So on longer hair, once I clamp it in, I can move it around.
So I mean, literally, you're taking the three. You're not just holding in two fingers. You've got like 3 fingers. Maybe we can kind of do that in slow mo so people can see, because it's something that I just learned over the past few years, and it's made a big difference for me.
So basically, here's my section. By the way, before each section pulls into each section, nothing is going into the center, okay? So yeah, I just basically, I just find to try and get control first. So small enough sections. And then I go in, and if you can see, it's almost like this finger here is holding down onto it. So I can clamp the hair so it's almost there, it's in control. Does that make any sense? There it is right there, it's holding it. And it just means instead of you being way on longer hair and you're layering the hair super long, it means now I can just do this and just sit it down and I can just go through and just, you know, be in control.
Yeah, just another way to protect your body and still keep the shape strong. Because again, I was trained like you had to have your elbows out.
Elbows out, and you know, it was quite hard. So like now it's just a case of going through. Now next section, and I'm going to go to the rounding of the head, like that section that was there, and I'm pulling everything up into that section, nice and loose, nice and soft.
So vertical sections, using the length at the guide, point cutting. Can you talk a little bit about point cutting? I know still some people perhaps cut themselves a lot, or any tips you can share?
You know, obviously there's so many different types of point cutting. What I'm doing here is not a real deep point cut because, you know, I want to keep the integrity of the hair on Jasmine. Her hair is sort of soft, so I just want to go in there and keep everything nice and sort of soft. So you can see there's my guide at the back, which is quite strong. It's just a nice, I call them like a chewy line, a chewy perimeter line. So I'm not going in like where you would go in really deep, so you could go like so, and you'd go super deep with them and you could open up some big ridges. So really what I'm doing is I'm just going in and I just want to soften out that perimeter line so I can drop it and I just go in at an angle and I don't go so vertical with the scissors. So I'm coming in at a diagonal angle and I'm just going nice and soft. So when you pull it up and you just check it, you'll see that it's nice and soft through there. Let me just take that little bit off.
Can you talk a little bit about why you've chosen to do this haircut kind of damp? I know that a lot of people would automatically think to do it dry. It's become even more and more popular lately, working with curly hair, working with free form. Why did you choose to work with hair damp?
Jasmine's curl. So her curl isn't the curl that sort of, I wish we had time for you to see Jasmine's hair when she comes in. Her hair actually doesn't sort of have massive volume at the root. It doesn't have this hair that sort of stands out. You know, it's almost like it's in space. Her hair isn't like that. So what I wanted to do was actually create the layers so I could actually start to see the hair start to come alive a little bit more on the damper side instead of it being something that was done on dry hair. So like you'll see a lot of people cut hair, you know, curly that's dry because the actual texture of the curl is different. Now, if that was the case, for sure, I would definitely go in there and maybe diffuse the hair before I went in and cut it. But with Jasmine's hair, you can see it's now starting to come alive a little bit more damp. So again, it's just using your expertise to figure out, you know, when is the time to do it, you know?
What I love about kind of modern understanding of textures, we're just getting so much more nuanced, you know? It's not just straight, wavy, curly.
Yes.
It's like there's so many different levels within there.
And you have the curl type, you know? You've got everything there. So, and it's great. So it sort of sets you up for like, what am I going to do? What's the technique I'm going to use? What scissor am I going to use? Am I going to use a scissor? Am I going to use a blade? But as I said, I wouldn't have used the blade unless I had hair like Jasmine's. Jasmine's hair is so soft. You can see how it combs through. Like it almost feels like it's wavy hair in your hand, but yet it's curly hair, which is fantastic. So I'm just continuing to just go through here. Nice and soft.
I noticed you kind of mirror imaged from the other side, like you went around and you're pushing into your guide.
That's right. That's it. It's the exact same thing. So I'm just taking those sections to the parietal where that section was put away.
I think we have a lot of new people coming in. Guys, if you're just joining us, I'm Gerard Scarpacey, co-founder of the Hair Break community. I'm here with Shay Dempsey, who's the Sebastian Global Artistic Director. We're in his beautiful salon here on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. It's called Sunset Plaza Salon. Shay, thank goodness, has been back to work here for the past few months. LA's back open. They're working safely. You can see they've got partitions between all the stations. And just trying to get back to what we do to not only something we love, but something that makes us a living.
Yeah.
So Shay, how's it been back to business?
Yeah, it's been, number one, it's been great to
be
open
able to work.
and see the team and, you know, actually sort of be part of a team again, and to see things opening up around us, like seeing restaurants now being able to sort of be at 50% occupancy, and not just outdoor but indoor also. So that's been fantastic. And also then just for us, seeing clients coming in, you know, that we haven't seen in so long. We had 3 lockdowns, so yeah, it was pretty crazy. But
can I just say that this is looking fantastic? I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we can't see the rest of Jasmine's beautiful face, but just the eyes and the hair.
Yeah.
It looks incredible already.
so you can see what we're doing is that, George, what did you call it? I loved it. The bob shape.
Like a lean.
A lean.
A lean shape.
So a lean shape would be, if you can imagine, if I was to do this and pull it up into the center like that, you have something that's going to be a lot flatter here and not so triangular. So where do I go from here? So I could definitely go from what I have here in this section here, which there you go, it's not too bad, along there. And you could actually take from here now, take your section down, and you could work from your perimeter point, like so, and come out off the head, and just take that corner off. So you could actually soften it all out. But I actually feel like what I want to do with the back and the sides is to pull everything up to that, so I can leave a little disconnection, which makes it a little bit more rock and roll. So you're having
A little more dramatic.
a little bit more dramatic. And I feel with her hair, like, why not? Like, she's changing it up. So if you want to know what I'm going to do, is you would just go from this movement here, take the sections, keep them in control, just run down like so, and isolate that out of the way, like that. Take another section to keep everything in control. Because I'm all about, like, I actually love disconnects, and I love to see hair that sort of has, you know, a little bit of an edge. So now I just have this mohawk piece here. So let me just take here, you'll probably see, take horizontal section and pull it to the previous section we did on the top, which is right there. So let me just take that. You can drop your hand down, take it nice and soft. Now this is where it can get a little bit sort of where we can get a bit more rock and roll with it. So now we can take nice big sections and we start to...
So why choose to switch to the horizontal rather than just vertically bringing it all up?
I feel that I have, by, you know, obviously with the head shape, by bringing everything up into that section, I'm going to leave more hair down here. And I feel I've got more control on the line. If you can see when I take this away, by taking that away right there.
Again, you just feel it's going to be more dramatic.
Yeah.
The difference.
Yeah. Almost like, you know, it's going to fall down into it. So
again, the subtlety in great hairdressing, great hair cutting, the subtlety from good to great is what always interests me. That little change.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It's easy for me to do this and mirror it on both sides as well, because I have somewhere to go to. So I have here, and now I'm going to hit my perimeter line, so there'll be nothing to come off here. Hopefully not. No. So we've now...
And that had a lot to do from connecting with the fringe in the beginning. It's like the engineering of the haircut.
That's it. It all sort of blends. So there you go. So let me drop this down. And what you'll get is this bit more hair, a bit more strength right here. And when it dries, you'll get this bump of like...
I like that.
height.
A
And
bump.
then, yeah, like this bump. So
Is that an Irish term?
it's an Irish term. So where do we go from here? So you've gotten that back panel through here. So just take right to the back of the ear, and all we'll be left with is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just get rid of
I know
those.
we've got a lot of our friends from the Sebastian tribe in Europe watching, and
Yep.
I know many of the salons are still in lockdown. I believe those in the UK opened up today.
They did. They opened up today, so I want to wish them all the best. I mean, it's fantastic just to see them get back open again. It's been a long haul, let me tell you. And you know, I'm Irish, and I think that Ireland are not opening till May 20th or something like that. So it's been really tough on people, I have to say. And yeah, but I wish the UK all the best. I'm sure they are going to be absolutely packed out the door. I'm sure they're going to be tired people. You have to get match fit again after being sort of at home for such a long time. And the hands are a little slower. The hands aren't as fast, so it takes a little bit of conditioning to get back in there.
Again, if you're just joining us, we're here with Shay Dempsey, the Global Artistic Director for Sebastian Professional, doing this beautiful kind of shag shape, combination of a little bit of blading around the edges and then scissor layering through the inside. Beautiful, simple, but just well thought out, effective technique. He's been working with products from Sebastian, the line that he's the Artistic Director for. First, the hair was prepared with no breaker. As the name implies, this helps to strengthen the hair, make sure that the hair is resilient, and especially if you're going to be doing a lot of high tension cutting and pulling on fragile hair like Jasmine's, or if you're going to be doing any type of styling. Great idea, great product, brand new. We've been teasing it for months here, the No Breaker. And then as his cutting lotion, he's been using the Potion 9 Light. Now, I know at this point you're probably also thinking about styling or getting close to the finish of your haircut. So what's going through your mind at this stage for styling products?
Well, again, I'm going to just stay on the hybrid line, where I'll probably just like to just keep the moisture going, but not weigh the hair down. So I'll probably put some, maybe a little bit of whipped cream in there, you know, which is a light conditioning whip. And then I probably will use a little bit of Twisted, which is a curl magnifier. Just uses the best out of the curl. It sort of pushes it in just a little bit, but still leaves it super soft. I think a lot of the time people, if they use a mousse or something like that, and it's very strong, the curl can look a little crispy. And I'm not really into that. I like to see that the hair, if I want to break it up, it can break up in my hands. Whereas I feel that if there's too much product, it's overcooked and we lose the actual integrity or the organicness of the curl itself. So it's really sort of twisting it, molding it with your hands and using a product that's really going to work with the hair that's in the chair at the time. And I have to say with Jasmine's hair, you know, it's soft. I mean, the curl is really soft. It's beautiful, you know. So I'm nearly there, guys. I'm just really coming to the final bit on the back here. And as I said, I'm just pulling everything up into that previous section. So I'm really sort of getting dramatic with the disconnect. So it's sort of, as I said, it'll give you a little bit more of a punch to the actual haircut itself. But yet with the layers, what we've done is, let's just spin around here. With the layers, what you're going to get is like it'll lift in the right places. So you're going to have a sort of squarer feel. It's going to be a little bit more boxy. So you're going to have, you'll see the length and the weight is through here. But then when we want to play with it and we want to sort of have something that's just that little bit more edgy, you get that nice sort of shape through off the crown, you know. So what we're left with are both sides. And you've shaped the perimeter, you've shaped around the face, you've done all the framing. So you can just take this in one section and like basically you can take it into your hands like so.
So this is the area in the temple that was previously
it was all cut.
Framed with pinch and cut.
Absolutely, and also you have to remember that you had cut your top section as well. So all you need to do is to get control of the hair, make sure that everything is in control. If you want, isolate the back, just put a flexing grip right there. And then just gently comb the hair up, up, up. And you shouldn't have too much hair to cut off. It should be nice, it should be in control. And right
so
there.
the technique that you worked here, is it versatile for different textures? Could you get a beautiful effect of everything we've done here on straight hair?
Absolutely. So there's your piece. It's very small, isn't it? But I mean, everything is over-directed up or pushed up into that section that you had cut, and it's right there. So you can see we're following a guide. Like everything is there, that it's just, and I'm just going gentle with the point cut, just nice and gentle. So you could do this on straight hair, you could do this on wavy hair. If you wanted to create a nice shag that had a big disconnect, can you imagine, just do one section in the middle and then pull everything up into that? Very simple, very even, but you would have, very effective sort of haircut where you would have sort of something very streety.
And just everything you've done makes sense. It's like it just flows from one thing to the next, which I love.
Yeah, and we try and just follow guides that are there, and you can sort of visually see where you're going. So again, I don't get lazy. Something that sometimes when we're in the salon on a Saturday we can get a little lazy. Just get rid of that, and then just go back exactly to what you did before.
And that's that whole temple panel that was face framed.
Yep. And then we go through, and then clean it up. Go into that central section, and there it is. Very little comes off this side actually. So, and you know what it also helps? It sort of helps you when you do something like that. Can you imagine if your sides weren't even? You'd see that the minute you pulled it up. But it's very satisfying when you pull up the hair and you go through it and you go, oh, I'm pretty even there on both sides. I can actually sort of look at it and go, when this drops down, this is going to be pretty good. So let me drop it down. And hopefully you'll be able to see things a little bit better now. So I'm just going to wet Jasmine's hair down a little. Take out the sectioning grips. And let the hair start to come forward. And really working her curl now, like just letting it be itself, keep it organic. Obviously, how would I dry this? I would diffuse it, but I would twist the whole hair first. I'll show you how I would twist the hair, but let's just spin her around a little so you can actually see that, you've got this cool little shape.
Really lovely. I love the simplicity and just the beautiful shape on Jasmine.
And just the little drop here makes a little bit of a difference.
And you really brought the color back to life, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing what a good haircut does.
So this is just a little bit of twisted, which is a curl magnifier. So I just basically go in and I take, small amounts, maybe just put a little bit of whipped cream in there as well. Mix them up together.
So
when you can get it going.
Curl magnifier, what exactly does that mean? It just helps to kind of tighten and intensify the curls?
Exactly. So what it'll do is it'll give me a little bit more separation. As you know, when you start to do hair and you start to comb curly hair, it doesn't like it. It goes into a bit of a state of shock. It's like, what are you doing to me? So by just giving the curl magnifier a chance to lay onto the hair, I just gently go in there, twist, go through here, and the whipped cream is a hybrid, so it just sort of is more moisture. I can then just start to go in and just sort of almost like caress the hair back and go, it's okay, here you go, here's your curls back. It's the combing that really affects the hair. So I don't fill my hand with so much product that it's going to be all over it. So I can just keep laying it in there and then just start to twist the hair gently and start to go through.
So is that kind of a cocktail that you use a lot, the whipped cream and the twisted?
Yeah, absolutely. So something like when I'm working with wavy hair or curly hair, the twisted range is something that sort of, if you want to accelerate or define the curl, if you really want to define the curl in certain ways, it's the one. But again, you can mix it, or sometimes I mix it with Potion 9. Sometimes I go in there and I actually mix it with Potion 9 as well. So again, I'll do all the sides. Are we okay for time if I'm not boring people to keep going?
Great audience. They're loving it. Your fans from all over the world sending lots of love.
Okay, great.
Guys, if you're enjoying this, which I know you are, send some love for Shay and his beautiful model, Jasmine.
But I really think this is a really important part of the procedure when you're doing a haircut in the salon and somebody is coming in for a restyle, is that you actually set the hair back into its original sort of organic state. I think a lot of the time you really want to sort of see those curls being defined. So this product and using your hands as the tool really, really helps And you can see it's almost like pinch and cut. I'm just taking those sections and really sort of letting them work again. So it's like a little exercise. It's just like one squirt, you know, one squirt, and then mix. And really what you're doing is you're mixing those products in together so that now all my hands are there, so I can just pick out certain pieces. And you can...
Lovely fragrance too. It actually smells moisturizing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
If that's a thing.
Yeah, it almost feels like it smells like it's a cream that's going onto your face. And again, section things away, just like you were doing with the haircut, like section things so that you really want to get in there. Like see around the hairline here, it's a little dry in there. The curl is a little bit more defined. So you want to put a little bit more moisture in there.
What did we do, 30 years ago when we didn't have so many great products for curly hair?
I know.
It was a different world.
It really was. There was a can of mousse, and people sort of had a look at Bon Jovi, or everybody had the same type of look. It was a crinkly.
Was the dry look or the wet look?
Yeah, it was the frizzy or the wet.
Did you ever, back in those days, like in the late 80s, early 90s, use like hand cream?
Oh, yeah.
Before we had great stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody introduced me to shea butter.
Shea butter.
And it was something that you just had to try and get it in there to try and get the curl.
Yeah. Thank God we don't have to do that anymore.
No.
We've got great products formulated.
Absolutely. Technology has certainly sort of helped in those stats for sure. So again, I'm just working through the hair, just getting it in. And you can see that I'm keeping the hair damp as I'm going along. It's the most important part, that if you don't dampen the hair and you don't have control of the hair, when you go to diffuse the hair, well then basically it's going to still have that frizz because the comb itself has, pulled and stretched the hair. So a little bit more product.
Edie Gonzalez is wondering if it matters if you let it air dry or use a diffuser.
Oh no. Probably air dry is probably even better, but I think you get a little bit more volume by using a diffuser. So you get to build the shape a little bit more. So through the back, you can see now I'm working the product in just a little bit more. And now you can speed things up where you can just go in there and gently just go in and start to sort of define that curl. Just use your 2 fingers and just twist, and then just grab.
Does it matter what direction you twist them in?
No, but you could do opposites, which could be pretty cool. Do one way and one the other way. And you can actually then really define, the shape of where it's going. But like certainly through the back, you can see that I'm actually using a little bit more product. And because obviously there's a lot more hair there. So I'm just going in and just going through the hair underneath, working it in. I think a lot of the time, sometimes people don't work the product in enough. So, you really have to work that product in, twist it, find nice sections. What's really cool, if you can actually see a curl, like there's a nice curl there, well then just help that on its way. So you're just doing that. And you're just helping the hair. Bless you. And then squeeze it in. Okay, and now we're coming up to these layers. So now these layers have been sort of pulled and stretched with the comb. So again, you just want to give those a little more love. So I'm just going to take that section.
Dominic Bartolo Jr. has the question of the day.
Okay, Dominic.
Will we be perming again?
Oh my goodness. So I've seen little bits and pieces about this, but I really feel that with so much color and everything like that, the lotions would have to be super,
there's
super
been a
soft.
lot of progress.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of progress in perm lotion.
Yeah.
Even though, people haven't realized that the development is kept. There's some pretty incredible stuff out there.
Yeah.
And we just actually filmed our first perming tutorial.
Yeah.
For hblive.me.
Yeah.
So we're excited about it.
And I think, with the right sort of rollers, or, you've got all these new sponge.
We got new rollers from Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think, who doesn't love curly or wavy or voluminous hair?
Yeah.
Who didn't love flash dance?
Exactly.
Let's face it.
The ultimate.
The ultimate curly hair was flash dance. So, and maybe the leg warmers, they helped.
Yeah.
They did something for me. I don't know what it was, but certainly the leg warmers were something special.
Absolutely. As you continue to put the product in, I want to let all of our viewers know, I know you guys love Shay, you've got a lot of his fans here. If you want to take your education to the next level with Shay, head to hblive.me. I've pinned it to the bottom here. We were in the studio, a real professional studio, beautiful sound, beautiful cameras, incredible angles, and we got Shay to do a few days of incredible lessons on what we call Sebastian Creative Immersion. I picked 4 of the most iconic looks from the history of hairdressing in general, and then used the Sebastian methodology of blading, working with a feather razor to craft those shapes. Within those shapes, he teaches really the whole concept of Sebastian blading, using all these 9 different ways to use the blade to cut hair. Now this is step 1. If you go there, purchase it, watch the videos, practice it, that's considered step 1. Step 2 is taking a live virtual class with educators where you can actually get feedback live as you're working. So once you've taken this, you'll get information on how to go into step 2. You can head to Sebastian on Instagram to learn more about it. It's an incredible way. If you love Shay's work, this is really the heart of it. Sebastian Creative Immersion, hblive.me.
So I'm just sort of basically, I know you don't want me to put on a diffuser, so I'm gently sort of showing you what I would do, because the diffuser is going to, you know, the noise and all that type of thing, it's a little too much. But this is what I would do. So I would gently just go around, and I would work in this motion, circular motions. And what it's going to do is, the curl is now defined. So all you really want to do is to sort of probably go in there and let it find itself, so that the curl will just do its own thing. So really what you want to do is just, you know, let it be. Just let it just have its own little sort of thing. And you know what? The curl will become itself, because you've actually formed it back in again. So you don't want to sort of take it and sort of disturb it too much. Whoever said let it air dry, yeah, obviously.
Let it be,
let it be, let it be.
Let it be, let it be.
But you know, you can see the shape is pretty cool. We've got this really nice, it's going to actually, her color is going to look even better now. But you're going to have a lot more movement through the top, and you're going to have a much more flatter. So definitely it's a little bit more sort of rock and rolly now.
Another incredible lesson from our good friend Shay Dempsey. Thank you, Sebastian.
Is she smiling?
For that work. Beautiful, beautiful Jasmine here. Incredible lesson.
Oh, thank you so much.
Always great to work with you.
Thank
We'll be
you.
back again next month with Shay. We're bringing you these lessons every month. And please, if you've enjoyed this, I promise you, you'll be blown away by Sebastian Creative Immersion. Head to hblive.me and check it out. And then you can do step 2, where you can get some live tutelage on those techniques, which is an incredible opportunity. All right, peace out, guys.
Peace out.